You cannot make that stuff up. That is... Hey guys, it's Amanda. I'm an American living in the UK, and I post about my life and experiences living here, as well as these weekly reactions requested by all of you. Now, a little while ago, I watched Dumbest Ways to Die, British edition, and there were some pretty interesting ones on there, to say the least. But so many of you commented saying that I needed to check out the Darwin Awards. So that's what I'm going to do today. But let me know, what is the most extreme Darwin Award that you've ever heard? Put it in the comments.
Here at Top 10s, we've covered the Darwin Awards once before. Of course, one video is hardly enough to contain all of the world's stupidity. Now, in case this is the first time you've heard of it, the Darwin Awards are based on Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. In nature, there is the survival of the fittest, and this, of course, extends to the human race. Every year, folks on the internet gather a collection of incidents where people have died or made themselves infertile by doing incredibly stupid things. They are declared winners of a Darwin Award, guaranteeing that they will...
Super quick, just want to point out the difference there. Look at the men versus the women. We don't get nearly enough awards, do we?
never pass on their genes to the next generation. And in the video today, we're looking at 10 more of the best. Number 10. Thief gets instant karma. Just a few days before Christmas of 2005, a couple was out on a date in Bloemfontein, South Africa on a Saturday night. A thief approached them in the dark. He was holding a knife and demanding to take their money. This criminal stole the woman's purse and started running away. The man was so focused on escaping that he jumped over a fence, which just so happened to be the wall of a zoo. When he landed, he found himself inside of the tiger's den. The next morning, though, the thief's body was found inside of the den. Since the tiger had been well fed, it didn't feel the need to eat the man, but like most big cats who finally catch their prey, the tiger had killed the thief in the middle of the night. We can only imagine that it must have been purring loudly for a job well done chlorinating the human gene pool by the time the security guards showed up to recover the body. Number 9. Missionary died.
So, moral of the story, don't steal or you'll be mauled by a tiger.
Is trying to teach Murderous tribe about Jesus. For hundreds of years, missionary groups have taken it upon themselves to bring Christianity to native populations, whether those populations wanted it or not. Even after all of this, there are still some untouched tribes that have miraculously survived with virtually zero interaction with the outside world, like the Sentinelese tribe on the Andaman Islands off the coast of India. The tribe has lived on that island for tens of thousands of years and was briefly colonized by Great Britain. Since then, the majority of their population was wiped out, and they're only believed to be about 50 or 150 people left alive. Once India gained its independence, the island was left alone so that the natives could live in peace. Tourists have been instructed that it is strictly forbidden to attempt to come into contact with this tribe because of the potential to infect them with diseases from the outside world. Even taking pictures from a boat is punishable with up to 3 years in prison. The tribe has also been known to attack outsiders because they must have grown up hearing stories of foreign men who came to enslave their people. But we should all know by now that there is nothing you can do to stop the irrational overconfidence and entitlement of a millennial. In November of 2018, a 26-year-old American man named John Allen Chow paid fishermen to bring him to the Andaman Islands, even though he knew that this was dangerous and illegal. He even took a selfie and posted a picture of himself on his way to the island and posted it on Instagram. His goal was to preach Christianity to the natives, even though they couldn't speak the same language as him. When the fishermen came to pick him up, the tribe had shot John multiple times with their arrows and then used a rope to drag his body to the beach so that the fishermen couldn't retrieve his body. The fishermen were all arrested for illegally transporting him to the island, but since the laws of the outside world do not apply to the Sentinelese people, no one is going to be held accountable for his death. Number 8. Segue.
That is so awful. I mean, first of all, why on earth would you go to an island, or anywhere for that matter, and try to preach about Christianity when they wouldn't, even understand what you're saying? What is the point of that? What an unnecessary death. Also, how sad for his family, because I'm assuming they never would have got his body back, and no one's being prosecuted for his death either, so there's that. That is awful.
All the way. Remember Segways? When they were first invented, some people believed that they would be the way of the future. But today, the only people who seem to use the upright
are mall cops. At least in the States, anyway.
Transportation devices are mall cops. When they first premiered, Segway claimed that their cross-country model was going to revolutionize the way people explore the great outdoors, or just change the way they commute to work. Of course, since they cost thousands of dollars, there is a very limited number of people who would actually buy one of these things. One of their customers, though, was a millionaire named Jimmy Heselden. He had amassed his fortune by selling defense items, essentially profiting from the spoils of war. But he wasn't just a customer of Segway devices, he was a customer of the company, having bought it in 2010. That same year, he couldn't even be bothered to go for a normal walk anymore. That's too much like being a peasant. He was riding his Segway around the countryside of West Yorkshire when he somehow lost control of the vehicle and ended up going straight into the Leeds River. The only question that remains is, if he knew the Segway was going out of control, why didn't he just jump off? Number 7. Man steals hot dog from vendor and loses his own. This next story is an example of how someone doesn't have to die to get a Darwin Award, and also that the universe must enjoy a bit of irony. On Halloween 2017, a 19-year-old man named Tarian Pouncey held up a hot dog vendor in Chicago with a gun. He demanded that the vendor take all of the cash out of the cart and give it to him. Pouncey chose an awful time to rob the cook because he was in the middle of holding a pan of hot grease. He dropped the pan in order to reach for the money, and it ended up splashing boiling hot grease all over Pouncey. During this confusion, Pouncey accidentally set off the gun while it was pointed at his own, let's say, hot dog. During the commotion, the vendor was able to jump on Pouncey, and he was later caught by the police. He was rushed to the hospital, and while he is still alive, there's a very good chance he won't be able to ever have kids. Number 6.
The first thing I want to say is, why on earth would you rob a hot dog vendor of all places? I mean, I don't know what he thought he was going to get away with, but to maybe not shoot off. I'm sure it didn't fly off, but to shoot yourself in the willy trying to steal it from a hot dog vendor. You cannot make that stuff up. That is brilliant. I mean, in the nicest possible way. Ridiculous.
Man dies while trying to steal wheels. It was a cold, dark December night in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 2017 when a thief attempted to steal expensive tires off a van. In the darkness, he cut open a wire fence and rigged up the van on cinder blocks. Almost anyone would know that this is a terrible idea, but this man, he continued with the plan. That was, at least, until the van collapsed on top of him while he was laying underneath it. The next morning at 8:50 a.m., the police found the body of the unidentified man crushed under the van. Based on the tools and tires surrounding him, it was obvious what had happened, but the police were not able to figure out who he was. Number 5. The worst kind of New Year's resolution. On December 31st, 2010, thousands of people were gathered for New Year's Eve in Moscow's Red Square, getting ready to count down for the beginning of 2011. A woman who was part of a terrorist group was strapped with a suicide belt bomb, and they were using a brand new cell phone as a detonator. Their plan was for the woman to walk into the middle of the crowd, hide the bomb, and then they were going to text the phone at midnight and set off the explosion. This would have killed hundreds of people at the very least. On her way to Red Square, though, the cell phone company sent a generic Happy Holidays message to the new phone number. This set off the bomb early, making the unnamed woman the one and only victim. 2 of her accomplices were witnessed running away from the explosion. When they were caught, they were identified as being part of a radical Islamic group that was responsible for setting off a bomb in an airport just a few days prior. Number 4. The kiss of death.
Well, you get what's coming to you, don't you? But also, I hope that mobile phone company got a nice pat on the back, maybe even a thank you card, because they saved a lot of lives that night.
In 2017, a man named Anthony Powell was serving a life sentence in the Oregon State Penitentiary for killing his father-in-law by stabbing him to death. He was high on meth at the time, and clearly he hadn't learned his lesson. While he was in jail, he met a woman named Melissa Ann Blair online. She was a fellow drug addict who just so happened to have a thing for convicts. Healthy. When Blair visited Powell in the visitor's room, they exchanged a passionate kiss. Unbeknownst to the guards, Blair was passing 7 small balloons filled with meth into Powell's mouth. He swallowed these regurgitated balloons, planning to pass them later when he got back to his cell. The felon must not have thought this plan through very clearly, though, because the balloons ended up rupturing on the way down and he died of an overdose. Blair was arrested and found guilty of committing a drug conspiracy. Number 3. A prickly predicament. In southern Arizona, there is a breed of cactus called saguaros that are iconic fixtures of the Old West. Some of these plants can live as long as 300 years, and they can grow as high as 60 feet. There are laws protecting these endangered cacti, but that doesn't stop bored and stupid young men from cactus plugging, which is where they use these plants as target practice. The goal is to bring guns and ammunition out into the desert so they can riddle a cactus with so many bullet holes that it falls to the ground. In 1982, a man called David Grunman was cactus plugging with his roommate James Joseph Sikotsky. The two men were laughing and destroying these 100-year-old plants one by one. He must not have judged the distance of one of the extra large plants though, because the cactus came straight down on top of him and impaled his body with spikes, and he died almost instantly. Number 2. The danger zone. There is this stereotype that stockbrokers are high-strung and pumped up on a never-ending run of caffeine and adrenaline. This was especially true back in the 1980s and 1990s. One only has to watch The Wolf of Wall Street to learn that it was commonplace for stockbrokers to do lines of cocaine in their office in order to help keep them awake and motivated to keep trading. While we don't know the ins and outs of his personal life, Jack Sullivan was one of these successful brokers who made a killing working on Wall Street. After becoming a millionaire, he decided to retire in his 40s and moved to San Francisco with his wife. One Sunday morning in 1996, he woke up and went for a run at the Lincoln Park golf course. His wife said that he had a habit of carrying a tape recorder with him so that he could talk about all of his brilliant ideas when he went on a run. Unfortunately for Sullivan, he was a little too absorbed in himself instead of being aware of his surroundings. He ran full speed off a cliff known as Eagles Point Overlook and died at just 49 years old. Number 1. The Sympathy Vote. In 1979, a man named Nitaro was running for the Japanese House of Representatives. He was afraid that he wouldn't actually win the election, so he concocted a plan to gain sympathy from the voters and also make his competition look bad in the process. He wanted to pretend that he had been attacked by a gang of thugs. Without even pointing fingers, this would have begun a conspiracy theory that these men were hired by his competitors and sent to kill him. In order to make this a convincing story, he had to stab himself so that he would have some kind of proof that an attack actually happened. He decided to grab a huge kitchen knife and lunge it into his own leg. Unfortunately for him, he hit a major artery and died before election day. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below and don't forget to subscribe for brand new videos.
Well, that was interesting. I can see why so many of you guys said that I needed to watch them. Although, to be honest, I think they had the list flip-flopped. In my opinion, the worst ones, if that's even the right word, were like 10 and 9. I mean, the tiger, getting mauled by a tiger, I think is much worse than stabbing yourself in the leg. I mean, neither of them are great, and I definitely wouldn't want them to happen to me. But, I don't know. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Yeah, I'm probably going to watch more of these because I know I laughed at, well, a couple of them. And you probably shouldn't laugh, but it's just a bit of stupidity, isn't it, really? And it's a little bit funny. But remember to keep the recommendations coming, and I'll keep watching. And as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, smash that like button if that's what you're into, and I'll see you in the next video.
Aphrodite, then discuss, her rapper, messy colors, nah.